Hey there! Welcome to yet another video from Time, the leaders in test prep. So aspirants, I have a very interesting topic for you today and I'll give you the details a little later. Before that, try to think of an answer to this question. In the course of your preparation, you may be going through a lot of written text. You may be reading passages and trying to understand what they mean. Have you ever felt that the author is at times frustrated, excited, skeptical, cheerful, optimistic, etc.? Yes, I'm sure you may certainly have felt this, and this should give you some hint about the topic for today, which is tones. Now, this is a very critical aspect of reading comprehension, especially keeping your exam in perspective. So, in all of these kind of competitive exams for which you are preparing, you need to have an idea, a complete, a thorough idea of this word tones. So what really are tones and how do they help us? What do they tell us are the questions that I will help you understand and answer today. So let's begin. We have tones speak, know what they reveal. Okay, so this is the topic for the day, and we have tones as the author's attitude woven into words. So when I said that you may have at times felt that the author has try to convey different emotions, this is what I mean. The author, when writing something, has a purpose, and the purpose is conveyed through words. These words that any author chooses conveys the author's mindset or the attitude towards what he or she is trying to present, which is why the sentence says tone is nothing but any author's attitude that an author weaves into words and puts it on paper. It can uplift, criticize, or stay neutral, shaping how we perceive a passage. Now, when we start delving into tones, we realize that different words give us different ideas about the underlying emotions that different authors try to convey. That is why when we look at those words carefully, be it a single word or a group of words, be it an idiom, a phrase, anything which should help you gauge what the underlying emotion is, it is reflective of any author's tone. So you have to be a little careful, because in trying to understand the attitude, we also get to know the author's purpose of presenting anything. Okay, now what? So I mentioned tones do different things, and keeping this in mind, there are different types of tones. What are they? We have a positive tone, we may have a negative tone, and you may also come across neutral tones. So broadly speaking, we can classify tones into these three categories: positive, negative, and neutral. Now, there are finer points that you also need to be aware of. So there are nuances, and when you start looking at what you are reading carefully, you also start analyzing emotions in a deeper sense, and this will lead you to understand the intensity of every type of tone as well. I'll take this a little later. So let's first understand these three that I have here for you: positive, negative, and neutral tones. Now, let's first take a look at positive tone. So positive, as the word itself suggests, is that kind of tone which carries these kind of emotions. It reflects optimism, positivity, confidence, encouragement, and everything that is positive. It conveys approval or support, and it also boosts somebody's morale, be it the readers, or it could be related to any aspect of writing. So when you come across a positive tone, you have to focus on the words that authors use. So the vocabulary and the meaning of specific words will help you understand what kind of tone it is. Now, a positive tone is not very difficult to gauge, because we are more tuned to all things that are positive. Okay, but there are other tones that may confuse you slightly. Let us take a look at them also. So we come to the negative aspect of tones, and negative tones are those that express criticism. They also ensure that sometimes the author author's emotion is sarcastic, so they may convey sarcasm or even animosity, hostility, bitterness and resentment. Such a tone conveys disapproval or skepticism as well. So we need to understand the negativity, and the negativity that any author conveys or expresses is always in the form of words that have this nature. Okay. What next? We now come to the third kind of tone, which is the neutral tone. Now, unlike a positive or a negative tone, a neutral tone is slightly challenging to understand, because we have to look into whatever any author has expressed a little deeper, and only then we will be able to know what a neutral tone is about and what it actually says or does. So, what does neutrality mean? Neutrality is all about being objective, unbiased. So when you find that there is a sense of balance that any author has conveyed, the author is not impacted or affected by any situation, any event that he or she has portrayed in his writing, then we find that the author's attitude is neutral. So a neutral tone does what? It maintains objectivity, balance or detachment. What else? It also neither supports nor opposes a viewpoint. So by means of tones, the authors mostly try to express their opinion. But if you come across a piece of writing in which you feel that the author has tried to maintain equilibrium, he has not supported or taken any side, then you can be sure that the tone is a neutral one. Okay, I hope till so far we have some idea. Now, let's go through a small exercise. Think and label what's the tone. So, what do I have here is a group of words, and you take a look at each of these and try to, in your mind, think and decide what kind of tone each of these words reflects. So, we have unbiased, didactic, critical, objective, assertive, flippant, disinterested, caustic, demeaning and uninterested. All of these are vocabulary. They are words, and when we come across words, we need to know what the meaning is, of course. So, definition apart, we also need to understand the nature of every word, and if we have this in place, then it will be easier for us to handle these kind of questions which are related to tones. Before, of course, going on to questions, we need to understand what exactly the author is trying to convey, and for this we need to take a look at individual words, sentences, phrases and idioms, if any are present in that piece of writing, and try to know what they connote. Do they connote positivity, negativity or neutrality? So here are a few examples. Now, for this, the first thing is to know what each and every word means. So, unbiased. So, if a person is unbiased, you find that the author has mentioned something where you understand the author is not being partial towards somebody or any situation, then what kind of tone can it be? Didactic is preaching. Critical, of course, you know what it means. Objective, I told you just now, is when the author's attitude is balanced and he or she does not express any kind of positive or negative emotion. Assertive is when the author is trying to push, but he or she is not being aggressive or negative at all. Flippant is when a matter which is of serious concern is being treated lightly. Disinterested is when the author has no emotion or interest towards whatever he or she presents, but the facts that are important are certainly being conveyed. Caustic is something which is bitter and acidic. Demeaning is insulting, and uninterested is almost similar to disinterested. Okay, so here are the words. Now, without letting you waste a lot of time or without leaving you confused, I have the answers right here. So, take a closer look at it. You may pause the video and then take a careful look at what's there right in front of you. So, an unbiased tone is a neutral tone, and neutral and fair without personal opinion is what kind of emotion or expression or feeling this word conveys. Didactic is a positive tone and it is instructive or educational in a positive way. So it tries to teach us something. Critical is certainly negative because it expresses disapproval or analysis with a negative slant, and it is more focused on the shortcomings or weaknesses in any situation, and less inclined towards anything that's positive. Objective is certainly neutral because it is fact-based and it has no bias associated. Assertive is positive because it helps the author convey anything with confidence and, of course, while being forceful but not pushy. Okay, so it is not something which is aggressive, and aggressive is negative, but assertive is certainly positive. Flippant, I told you, is something which is lacking seriousness about an issue that does need that kind of attention, serious attention. So it can only be a negative tone. Disinterested is neutral because the author is indifferent or impartial. Caustic is negative because here we find that this kind of tone is harshly sarcastic, bitter, or full of resentment. Demeaning is negative because it belittles or shows disrespect towards something or someone, and it is therefore insulting. Uninterested is neutral because it lacks concern or engagement, and it expresses or conveys neutral indifference. Okay, so I hope this gave you some clarity on what tones are, and in the next videos that I will come up with shortly, I will discuss the same in greater detail. Okay, so please like, follow and subscribe to our channel www.timeforeducation. All the best. Thank you.